Berwari was a diocese of the Nestorian Church between the 16th and 20th centuries. The Nestorian Diocese of Berwari. Early history. Before the 14th century, the Berwari region, sometimes called Julma Beth Tanura in Syriac Colophons, was part of the Diocese of Daisen. Nothing is known of the region's history in the 14th and 15th centuries, but the Diocese of Berwari is mentioned in a manuscript of 1514 by the scribe Sabrisho Bar Galilan, brother of the bishop Yarbolaha of Julma. A manuscript of 1575 contains several poems composed at an unknown date by the Metropolitan Sabrisho of Berwari. After the Chaldean Schism. After the Schism of 1552, the region appears to have been contested by the Elia and Shimun lines for several decades. Manuscripts were copied at Alkosh in 1562 and in the Berwari monastery of Markayoma in 1602 by Bishop Yarbolaha of the Pinyanish village of Azanish, which mentioned the patriarchs Elia 7 and Elia 8 respectively. Bishop Yarbolaha of Beth Tanura, also dependent on the patriarch Elia 8 and almost certainly the same man, is mentioned in the report of 1607. On the other hand, a Metropolitan Sabrisho of Julma is also mentioned in the report of 1607, almost certainly to be identified with the Metropolitan Sabrisho of Berwari listed among the hierarchy of Shemonics in the report of 1610. There are no further references to bishops of Berwari for more than a century, but the region was claimed by Marshamon Shiasho Yahb in 1653. In 1731 a manuscript was commissioned from Alkosh by Bishop Yarbolaha, therefore suggesting that he was possibly dependent on the Mosul Patriarch Elia 12. The Metropolitan Isho Yahbo of Beth Tanura, who was dependent on the Kudshanis Patriarchate, is mentioned in manuscripts dating from 1817, 1829 and 1831. Considering those dates, he was probably the elderly Metropolitan Isho Yahb of Berwari, mentioned by British missionaries Ainsworth in 1841 and Badger in 1850. Isho Yahb, already elderly in 1850, probably died shortly afterwards. By 1868 Berwari had three bishops, Isho Yarb's young Natakursius Yarbolaha and Isho Yahb, who had been jointly consecrated after his death and resided together in the same house at Ur, and a bishop named Yonan, who resided in the village of Aqui. A petition in 1868 to the Archbishop of Canterbury was signed by Yonan of Aqui and Isho Yahb of Dur, and all three men were mentioned by the Anglican missionary Edward Cutts in 1877. Yarbolaha died before 1884, but Isho Yahb and Yonan are included in Maclean's hierarchy in 1884, and Riley's in 1888. Yonan is last mentioned in 1903 as a Catholic sympathizer by Rhetoric. Isho Yahb converted to Chaldean Catholicism on the 31st of March 1903 in a public ceremony in Ahmadiyya, but reverted back to Nestorianism shortly afterwards. In 1907 he was deposed by Shimun 21 Ben-Yamin, who consecrated the 18-year-old Yalda Yarbolaha as Bishop of Berwari in his place. The consecration of a boy of slight education offended the Anglican mission, which was trying to persuade the young patriarch to reform the clergy and episcopate, but it did not protest. Jalda Yarbolaha was one of the few surviving members of the Kudshanis hierarchy after the First World War, and remained Bishop of Berwari until his death in 1950. The episcopal family of Mar Yabulaha was maintained by Mar Josip Kanisho. After Yalda's death, two nephews Andrios and Shalita aspired to the office, but neither was old enough in 1951 to be consecrated. The see remained vacant for 6 years, then Mar Kanisho consecrated Andrios as bishop. Andrios Yabulaha served as bishop until his death in June 1973 at the age of 35. It has been theorized that his young death was due to assassination as a result of the role he played in the Kurdish wars against the Iraqi government. However, Andrios' consecration caused division in the community, as some expected Shalita to be consecrated due to his seniority. Shalita and followers did not want to become Catholic but aspired a union between Syrians and Assyrians. Timotheus Mar Shalita Yabulaha ended up joining the Syriac Orthodox Church as a result, and was consecrated Archbishop by Patriarch Ignatius Jacob III on October 23, 1958, in Beirut. However, he did not join the Holy Synod and still kept contact with the Patriarchate of the Syrian Church of the East, and even returned to Berwari Bala after his consecration and stayed there until war broke out in 1963, relocating to the Patriarchate in Damascus. In 1967 he was invited to Germany by the World Council of Churches, where he has remained since. Shalita ceased his relationship with the Syrian Orthodox Church later on. In 1969 he joined the Ancient Church of the East and recognized Maridai II as Patriarch, joining its Holy Synod in 1995. Being appointed as Metropolitan of Europe with his see in Mainz Castle, he also played a prominent role in Assyrian refugee aid for well over 20 years, and advocated successfully for Assyrians looking to gain asylum in Europe. In 1999, Mar Isaac Yusuf was consecrated bishop by Mar Dinka IV, assigning him the new Diocese of Doha Kabul, which has been considered a modern revival of the Diocese of Berwari. Statistics. The Diocese of Berwari included 27 East Syrian villages in Berwari itself and in the adjacent Sapna and Nowhere districts, containing 348 families, 18 priests and 20 churches in 1850. In 1841, according to Ainsworth, it also included the Berwari villages of Alkoshta, Musakan, Robara and Darjeli, the Sapna villages of Maristak and Inish, and the Zabar village of Erdal. Musakan, though not included in his statistics, was also mentioned as a village in the Diocese of Berwari in 1843 by Badger, in which a number of villages from the lower Tiyari town of Ashida had taken refuge after the massacre earlier in the year. A recently published book by U.L. Barber has supplied the Syriac names of the villages in the Diocese of Berwari.